Hey friends, welcome to Living the KG Life, a pixie dust-filled podcast. On today's episode, we have Shelby, who's going to talk all about how she creates magic for all of you at her shop, Pixie Lee Co. So stick around, it's going to be great. All right, friends, we have Shelby here from Pixie Lee Co., and I am so excited to have you here. We're going to be talking all about how Shelby creates magic for everyone that shops in her shop. If you know me, you know that Pixie Lee Co. is like one of my absolute favorite shops. I'm actually currently wearing one of my favorite hoodies. I've got my joggers on. And if you've seen any pictures of me either at Disney or just really around life, my favorite masks. I actually swapped all of my masks out during the pandemic once I got my first Pixie Lee Co. mask because they're so comfortable. My glasses, they're actually fogging right now. They fog like crazy, and your masks don't do that. So everything has been incredible, and I'm so excited to have you on. So let's jump right in. Shelby, give us a quick intro, who you are and what you do.
All right. First, that was so sweet. Second, I'm Shelby. Again, I'm the owner of Pixie Lee Co. I have been doing this for 7 years now. I live in New Hampshire, love all things Disney, Taylor Swift, Boston sports.
Yes.
That's about sums me up.
I love it. So let's hop into, we're going to mostly talk about Disney and your shop, which is not even like all Disney, but I think like mostly Disney stuff.
Yeah, mostly Disney.
So let's talk about your earliest Disney memory that you have, or what made you fall in love with Disney.
My family and my grandparents was really close with like all of that family. We took trips every year growing up until probably middle school. And I really don't necessarily remember those trips, but now that like I'm an adult and when I started going back probably when I was in like my early 20s, I was like, oh, I remember like this or I remember that. So I don't really necessarily remember when I was younger. But I see like my grandmother sends me pictures now, or like anytime they find pictures of me when I was little, like I'm in like a Minnie Mouse high chair, and I'm like, oh, you guys are the reason I am the way I am.
You created this.
You created this. Stop giving me crap for only wanting to go to Disney. So I don't think I necessarily like remember my first memories. I just like know all the photos, and yeah, I just know that I took family trips. This is the weird thing I remember about them. We would go Wednesday to Wednesday. I don't know why I remember that. I just remember that I would go to Florida from Wednesday to Wednesday, and we would get postcards, and I got to like send them to my classmates. Weird things that I remember, but
that's perfect. Then you used to get kind of like 2 half weeks of school instead of missing one whole week of school.
Why I remember it, because I got to skip school.
I love that. So what is it that you feel like since you've been going since you were little and clearly loved it since you were in your high chair? What is it that you feel like over your time, even like maybe as a young adult or as an adult, has like kept you in love with Disney?
I think so I will tell this to everybody. Disney as an adult, again, I don't really remember as a child, but Disney as an adult is a totally different experience. So when people say, like, why do you go to Disney as a kid? I mean, or as an adult? It's like, why don't you? You walk into that place and I'm like mesmerized by all the attention to detail, and like everything is new every single time I go, but also whether or not I have Pixie Lee Co. or I think if I had a different job, like I leave there feeling so motivated to do anything. Like when you think Walt has that quote, it all started by a mouse, and you like look around and you're like, this place started because Walt created a freaking cartoon of a mouse.
Yeah.
Like if you do that, you can do anything. So I feel like that part like really just keeps me going, and like why I love Disney. But also it's just like magic. How do you go to Disney and like not be in a good mood?
100% agree. My sister was on a couple episodes ago, and she said the same thing. She was like, you'll always see like somebody's in a bad mood at Disney, but like really, who's ever in a bad mood at Disney? Or if you're in a bad mood,
like that's just them as a human. Like they don't put their grocery cart away when they go grocery shopping. That is that kind of human.
100%. And it's everything from when you walk into Main Street to when you like walk through the International Gateway. Like it almost is like an instant flip.
It is. It
Mood
really
changer.
is. It totally is. Even like I feel like I land at MCO and like whatever, I wait in line for however long for either the Magical Express or to get a rental car. maybe I'm a little annoyed, but not really. I'm at Disney.
Yep. Like, it's fine. It's all going to be great.
Yeah, great.
So as you mentioned, you are up my way. So you're in New Hampshire. How do you plan your trips? Because for us, it's not like a, super easy hop or a drive or a bus ride. Like, you've got to really plan, strategize, fly down, or I mean, you could drive down, maybe a really long drive. So how do you plan your trips?
I'm actually not a great planner, to be honest with you. So I'm very lucky and I do get to go quite often. So I go about like 6 times a year. And
Amazing.
I know. I am very, very grateful. But so I won JetBlue points in my Disney credit card. That's how I afford to go. Everyone asks how I afford to go. So that's step 1.
Yep.
Step 2, so I really only plan, I would say like max, like besides like I'm doing like the Princess Half Marathon. So obviously I know I'm going in February, but other than that, it's usually like 2 months out. I'm like booking a trip to Disney, and it depends on who I go with. So like, of course, if I'm going with Kyle, it's more like planned out. Kyle's my boyfriend, sorry. And if I'm going, and he doesn't get to go as often, but if I'm meeting like a fellow shop friend or like one of my, my Disney friends, we really don't plan. It's like we'll text each other and be like, do you have any free weekends coming up? And we go to Disney. So I really don't plan it.
I think that's great though, because that's something that I've talked to a lot of people about, where even when it comes to how expensive a Disney trip is, like, it doesn't have to be something that takes 15 months to plan and $10,000. Like, you can do it.
I mean,
pretty
maybe
quick.
It would be different. Again, I'm so lucky that I go like 6 times a year.
Yeah.
And it's also, for the most part, just me, unless it's like Kyle and I, then of course we're paying. But for me, I have an annual pass.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost me, I don't have to like budget it to the extent of like a whole family going or with tickets. And for the most part, I fly on JetBlue points. So I've really gotten it down to a science on how to save for going for a trip last minute.
That's awesome. And I would 100% agree. I have both the Disney Visa and the JetBlue credit card. If you either don't have credit cards or you're looking to switch up credit cards, those two, you can earn points so fast. And with the Disney credit card, you also get Disney dollars, which is correct. I didn't realize until I first started using it. And I was like, oh, wait, this is almost like a little Disney savings account.
That Disney credit card, because I didn't go for a year in the pandemic, it paid for almost my entire annual pass on Disney dollars.
Holy crap.
Granted, I do put like, that is the business credit card. So of course I am like charging quite a bit to it and like quickly paying it off, but still like,
but hey, charge it up, get those points.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that credit card. But even I actually probably recommend the JetBlue one more, because those points, and I'm like, where the heck did this come from?
Yeah. And it's everything like gas, restaurants. They have the True Blue dining. They have everything. Now, have you switched your credit card, your Disney one, to the new 50th anniversary?
I did it yesterday.
I did too.
I'm so excited for it to come in.
I was like, I'm such a sucker. Gotta do it. I love that. So you mentioned a little bit about like the different kinds of trips that you do. Like if you go by yourself or you go with Kyle, you go with friends. Do you plan specific trips? Because we're going to talk about Pixie Lee Co in a minute, but do you plan specific like business trips, or do you just kind of like mix it in with fun, like leisure type trips?
It's definitely both. So I've gotten pretty good at, when I plan a trip, I'm like, okay, I need to have new shirts so that I can get photos when I'm down there. It used to be very, very almost like it felt more like work to me to go to Disney, because I was like planning content in my, making sure like I get all the photos of this shirt, this shirt, this shirt. And it really felt like work and not so much a vacation. I have now found a photographer down there who's become like my friend.
Oh, that's awesome.
AC Marie Photography. Check her out. She's amazing. So now every time I book a trip, I text her and I'm like, hey, I'm coming down. Can we plan a shoot? So then I have all of my shirts. I go down there, 1 hour, we get all the photos. And then I'm like, fine. I know that I have beautiful photos from her. I don't have to stress about it. And I can just enjoy the trip. And of course, when I'm down there, I am like looking around, thinking of like new ideas and like what I can do. But I now feel like I finally figured it out, where I can go down there and have a vacation, fun, personal trip, while also just quickly getting the work stuff out of the way and calling it done with work.
Well, and that's good because then you don't feel like it's, a complete separation unless, you need the complete separation to like take a vacation, but you can find those pockets of time to say, okay, let me get these shots in or get this like, walk around the park and just try to get some ideas and some inspiration. You can kind of like plan that out. That's awesome. So talk to me about whether it's a trip where you're kind of there for fun or you're there for business or a little bit of both. What are some of like favorites, must-dos, traditions that you have?
Oh, all right. Traditions used to be happily ever after.
Ugh.
Not a thing anymore. I feel like I do always try to do something new every time I'm there, which is kind of hard because again, I do go a lot. So that is definitely getting harder and harder. But like restaurants, I am not somebody who does dining reservations ahead of time. Again, I'm not a super duper planner. So when I get down there, usually you can find like day of reservations. So I do love to try like a new restaurant when I'm down there. Cause again, you can go to Disney and you don't have to do the same thing every single time.
Yep.
And it's a different experience every single time. I feel it's so weird that I don't have a whole lot of must-dos. Of course, I need to ride the People Mover, but like I am as happy as can be just to take a little walk down Main Street or just sit on the bench and just be there. Like,
yeah,
I don't have to do anything. I'm just happy as can be to be there.
And I feel like that's something that actually, because I feel the same way. And I feel like people that go often or even like every couple of years have that same feeling. Like it doesn't become this stressful. You've got to pack in. When I go to Magic Kingdom, I have to do these 10 things and I have to eat at these places. You're like, hey, let's just take it in, cruise around and see how it goes.
Yes, I think that is why like I don't like, especially Disney post COVID. I think a lot of people need to have this mindset of don't have any expectations.
Yep.
You do whatever you get to do and what you get to do is going to be magical. But like, if I set too many of like, I need to do this, and this, I feel like I stress myself out, but then I don't want to leave bummed if I didn't get to do it. So my must do is just to be there.
Yeah, just to be there and have a good time. Now, because I follow you both on your B Shelby Lee account and your Pixie Lee Co account. And on Instagram, we'll drop those in the show notes so everyone can follow Shelby. But I remember when you and Kyle first went on your trip, you were like super excited. Did you have things when you like bring someone for their first time or someone who hasn't been in a long time that you're like, okay, this is what I want to make sure they do or get out of the experience?
Yes. So that trip with Kyle was almost kind of stressful because he hadn't been since he was a kid and like he didn't remember anything. He thought like Universal was at Hollywood Studios. And I was like, oh my God.
So you're like, I have education to do on this trip.
Yeah. So I was like, we're going down there. We're doing everything. Like you need to ride every single ride. But also it was the first trip post COVID. So I was like, I don't know how things are going to be. So we went, that was March. So I forget, like, I guess the parks did open up that summer, but we were still in masks the entire time. So I didn't know what to expect. So that trip, it was like, we got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do this, do that. And I dragged him around everywhere. And because I wanted him to have the best time, but also I was like, I can't burn him out. And then we did so much that he was kind of like, well, we don't have to go back again. And I was like, no, we didn't do this. And I had like a whole list of things. So we're actually going back in November. And I feel like that trip is going to be a lot calmer. Like he already rode Tower of Terror. We don't have to do that, but we could if you want.
Yeah,
but
we can make that happen.
Make those decisions now because he knows. Because I educated him. Yeah. He knows Universal isn't there. So
But now did you do Universal last time?
No, but we are doing it in November. And I'm gonna need a map. I don't do Universal. So but he was like, can we do Universal? I was like, I guess, but
so I just went a couple weeks ago and my brother and I and his wife went and I do Universal every like 5 or 6 years. Like don't go that often. It's usually like strictly Disney. And we're both like Jurassic Park fans. We're like, we got to do the Velocicoaster. Mm-hmm. Shelby, it was incredible. It was like the most unreal roller coaster I've ever been on.
We are like roller coaster people, like love the like big adrenaline rides. So that is, I think, one of the main reasons Kyle wants to go.
Oh, you have to.
I went there, like not to bash Universal, and maybe I just like had a bad experience. There is like little things that Disney does that you don't realize it until you're somewhere else. when you go to Disney, they're like, how many in your party? 2. And they're like, row 7. Like they literally point to you and like, that is where you go. Yep. Universal was like free for all. And I was like, whoa, what is happening?
What's happening?
I was like so stressed. I didn't like it. So I haven't been to Universal in a hot minute. One of the reasons I agreed to go is because Christmas is around that time. So I know that Whoville is going to be like amazing. So I'm excited for that. And I did splurge. I was like, well, if we're doing this, then I got like that like express pass thing.
Yep.
Because we're not going to Universal to like wait in all the lines. So
yeah, we're getting it done.
We're getting it done. Get your map. Let's go.
Now, are you and or Kyle Harry Potter people?
No, he is a little bit more than I am. I am the pickiest movie TV watcher on planet. He is not. He is like, let's watch all the things. And I'm like, if this isn't Mickey Mouse, I'm probably going to fall asleep.
I'm all set.
So we're not Harry Potter people. However, I can appreciate the detail in whatever Universal calls their Imagineers in that place. Cause that is like, wow. So yeah, I can appreciate that, but I'm not a wizard. No.
Well, because I had never even, people probably listening are like, what? I actually had not even watched the movies until we were like, okay, we're doing Universal trip. I was like, well, I should probably watch all these movies so like I know what I'm walking around to. But that was actually really great because to your point, like I felt like I got the detail where in that area, I think they did a great job at making it feel like you were in where you were, like that immersive experience that Disney does so well. The Jurassic Park area too, I think they did a pretty good job with that, where it was like, you're in there and, you see the gates open and I forget the name of the water ride. It's kind of like the Jurassic Park version of Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
And like the gates open and the music's going like, oh my God, I'm in Jurassic World right now. What is happening? But yeah, it was super cool. And I would say if you're roller coaster people, like run to the Velocicoaster first. Okay. And then everything else it'll just be fun.
I want to do that. I do want to do that Hogwarts one.
Yeah. When we were down there, it was like 3 weeks ago. And it was torrential downpours all day long. So we were soaked. And we actually had the same mindset. We were one of the nights we stayed at the boardwalk and we did like yacht club, beach club, and did like a little bar crawl. And we were soaked. We were like, you know what? We're in Disney though. We're in Disney. Cruising the boardwalk. It's not a big deal.
Weird thing.
Yeah, it's like a whole. Yeah, exactly. If you can make me walk around torrential downpours and I don't even care, then hey, we're doing a good job. So one of the things that you mentioned in terms of traditions. And I was like, I feel like we have to talk about this because we'll be on the same page. Yeah, we're going there. Okay. And I'm so sad is happily ever after. So when we went the first night, we stayed in a theme park view room at Bay Lake Tower and watched from the room. And it was like, I feel like every time I watched happily ever after, it was like life changing. And it was so cool. And my brother was like, okay, great. Like we watched it. And I was like, so I think I want to go watch it again though. And I want to go and like be on Main Street, like watch from the front of the castle. He was like, but we've already seen it this trip. And I was like, but I could watch it every day. Yeah. Like, and I don't know if you've seen all like the petitions going around of people trying to.
Did you see the fake news that came around for a hot second?
Shelby, I was devastated because I thought for a real second that was real. That happily ever after was coming
on the couch with Kyle, and I was like, oh, "You're not gonna believe this!" And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "They're bringing it back." And he was like, "No way!" And I was like, "I don't know. I can't find it anywhere else though, so I don't know if it's like fake." Rumor was that they were getting rid of Enchantment after like 2 days and bringing it back, but
which is all like so mean for who. If you're listening and you're the person that did that, I can't with you. Just not nice.
You also probably don't put your grocery cart away.
They do not. They probably leave it in the middle of a parking space.
They do.
To boot. So I know you really love Happily Ever After. And I feel like it's one of those shows that so many people feel like a deep connection to. And it's hard to describe why. Like people are like, it's just a fireworks show. And I'm like, no, the message, the story, like it makes you feel kind of what you were describing earlier, like you can do anything, like you can make it happen. So what is it about Happily Ever After the show that not only you love, but you have a whole line of clothing and that, and I know that because I have the sweatpants, I have the sweatshirt, I have the t-shirt, and I have the mask. So we know you've got all the good Happily Ever After merch.
Yeah, I love Happily Ever After. So I'll get deep here. So I did post about it on my Instagram, and that was like I was like had anxiety all day to make this post. But so Happily Ever After came out like 5 years ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was actually in the middle of getting divorced. And so I was down in Florida, if we really want to go there. So Happily Ever After came out. When it came out, I was down in Florida with my now ex. And I was like, the new fireworks show is like going to be at Magic Kingdom. I really, really want to go see it the first night. And he was like, no, we're not doing that. Okay. So we didn't go do that. And a couple days later, I ended up going to, this is kind of related, but not, but just like to put the whole story in perspective. I went to Derek Huff and Julian Huff dance tour with my best friend, Courtney, who you'll see her a lot on my Instagram. And I was like, have you heard the new song for the fireworks show? Like that it just premiered like 2 days before that. She was like, no, and we listened to it in the car on the way there and on the way back and just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And like, we picked out a line of that song and she was like, you need to make a shirt with this. Oh my gosh, amazing. So we kind of like, just like loved that song. And so she is a local to Florida and that was in May. And, I mean, she could see the fireworks from her house.
Ugh.
And she never went and saw Happily Ever After until I came down there again. So I didn't make another trip until end of August. And so from May to August, she never went and saw it, even though she could see the fireworks from her house. So
that is like some serious willpower.
I know. So bless her. So I went down in August and that was the first time we were going to watch Happily Ever After. I did know the song, of course. And at that time, again, now ex was out of the picture and I had moved back to New Hampshire and we were going to get divorced. So we were watching that show and it was just like, oh my gosh. Cause I was at my parents' house at the time. I had Pixie Lee Co, but I did have another job too because I needed to make ends meet and I really wanted to be on my own. I wanted to like, obviously didn't want to be with my parents, of course, but like cost of living isn't cheap here in New England. And I was just like, how on earth am I going to start over and how am I going to do this? It just all kind of seemed impossible. And you watch that fireworks show and when they're, saying like, you are the key to unlocking your own magic. It's like, yeah, you're right. I am. Even the pieces that they picked of the movies, like, yeah, what I Will Brave is not one of my favorite movies. It's probably one of my least favorite movies, but that part that they put in there of like, you just have to be brave enough to find it, I believe is
you had to change your fate.
Yes. It's like, you're right.
You're like, hi, I'm here. I'm listening.
I heard you. Yeah. So that whole thing, and like, just feel like I left and it was like, oh my gosh. And so I came home. I have a key tattooed on my arm, the one that's on the shirt. It's like,
yeah,
that it freaking spoke to me. So now it's done.
But even though it's done, I think before we talk about kind of like the current state of Happily Ever After, I hope you know how much like your love of Happily Ever After has sparked so much love and joy and happiness for other people. Like literally when I tell you I have the whole set, but it's something where like you feel connected to someone when you're like, they love this as much as I do. They care about the story and what it means. And not only do you care about it, but you're then turning around and doing it for other people. Like, that's why I think it's so fun to do this segment of creating magic, because it's not just that you love Disney, but you're then creating that magic for other people.
Well, I think, especially like Happily Ever After, some people just don't like fireworks, or some people just like watch a fireworks show. This probably goes for all things, movies, whatever. But since we're talking about Happily Ever After, you watch a fireworks show and you kind of like, you don't have to think outside the box for when they're saying you are the key to unlocking your own magic.
When Hercules is telling you can go the distance.
Correct. Like, you don't have to think like, you're right, I could do that. You could just be like watching it and be like, oh, there's Merida. Oh, there's Hercules. Like,
yeah.
But for me, it like really spoke to me. And I think if I can share that with other people and share like what it means to me, and like, of course, that post probably came a little late that I just made, but when everybody else read that, and then the DMs that I got of like, you're right, and like how I motivated others was just like very, very just sweet. And I just think that's why I like what I get to do, because I do feel like in a way, if I share my little story or what I feel from certain things, that it does help other people, whether it's you're living at your parents and you're trying to make ends meet. And if you just like, go, you can do it. I'm so sorry that email keeps dinging.
That's okay. No worries. So I really want to talk a lot about Pixie Lee Co. But before we get there, so we know you're not happy that Happily Ever After is over. Have you watched Enchantment yet?
No, I haven't. And I haven't for a reason. Again, Kyle and I are going in November. So Happily Ever After is over. And while I'm sad, I think is officially like closing a book on my end. Like not even a chapter, just like the whole book is closing for me. Yep. And I'm in a really, really great place with, of course, Pixie Lee Co, but life in general. So I am excited. I'm sad that Happily Ever was over. I never actually got to watch it with Kyle because it wasn't running when we went in March. But so we're going in November, and Enchantment will be there, and it will be the first time I ever watch it, and I will be with Kyle, which is super exciting. So I don't want to watch anything. If I see it on Instagram, I tap really, really fast through. I don't want to see a single thing about it until I can experience it myself. And as much as I'm not a planner, because I'm looking forward to this, I actually did book the dessert party so that I could make sure that we had like good seating and all of it for the Enchantment fireworks. So
I can't wait to hear all about that because I'm sure you'll share it on your story. I feel like a lot of people have been doing the dessert party lately, and I've never done one, so I'm dying to try it.
Oh my! I've probably done it. I did it like 3 times for Happily Ever After.
Oh my God.
Well, because I get so I don't want to sit in a spot for so long, and I love desserts, but to pay for that extra well, I did it at one time. I brought my mom, and I was like, "Mom, you have to experience. I need to show you Happily Ever After and how great it is." So I bought the dessert party so that she could see it, and then again, it meant so much to Courtney and I. So we bought dessert party tickets one day so we could really experience it again. And have you watched Enchantment? Did you live stream it?
So I live streamed it because I was like, I don't know if I can wait because I'm not going back till December.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know if I can wait.
Don't tell me anything, but just tell me your.
It's not Happily Ever After.
Okay.
So that's going to be tough. But I also feel like I need to see it in person before I really do before I give a full, not a review, but before I decide on how I feel I need to see it in person.
Totally fair.
Because I feel like sometimes video just doesn't convey the same thing.
Oh, it doesn't whatsoever. Because I've Kyle watch Happily Ever After on YouTube, and he was like,
cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And I was like, you don't get it.
Same. I am probably embarrassed to say how many times I've had Happily Ever After on in the background while I'm working on YouTube and stuff. And it's oh, this is so great, but it's not the same. So I want to at least give it a chance. I know a lot of people are really pissed and do not like it, but I feel like we have to see and give it some time too. Because I think a lot of fans, as we also know, as Boston sports fans, Tom Brady was just home last night, and it's our fandoms of any kind that are really passionate can be really quick to judge, I think. So,
oh my God.
So we'll give it some time, see how it goes.
Gotta do my best, but we'll see. Yes. I'll report back November 15th.
Perfect. So everybody follow along on Shelby's stories. We'll see the dessert party, we'll see Enchantment, and we'll see her official review.
Oh man, I'm nervous.
I love it. So let's talk about Pixie Lee Co. Now, for everyone listening, like I said, I cannot tell you how much I love the designs that Shelby has, the merch that she has. She has really incredible products just across the board. So I'm super excited to talk all about the shop and what you offer and all of that. But let's start from the beginning. What made you want to start your own shop from the beginning?
All right. So again, I've been doing this for 7 years. So it did start when I was married at the time, and I was living the military life. So I had moved away from New Hampshire, and we were living in middle of nowhere, Alabama, and there was just no jobs for me out there. So I was nannying, but I just felt like I could do more. I've always been super creative. I get it from my mom, and I wanted a Cricut. If you know what a Cricut is, it's a vinyl cutter. And so I got one, and I started making mugs, and I said, I'm going to start a business making mugs and putting vinyl on mugs. And my ex at the time was like, yeah, you can do that once we pay off our credit cards. And I was like, okay. Well, I started it anyways, and then paid off the credit card. So then I ended up one day making a shirt. If anybody listening maybe saw this one, it was a Starbucks replica that had Tinkerbell.
Yep.
And that shirt like I sold like 100 of them, which I was used to selling like 2 cups a week.
Yeah.
What is happening? I guess people wear shirts more than they use cups. So then I was like, okay, maybe I can do shirts. So then I started just vinyling shirts and doing all the fun designs and shirts. And I was making them all by hand for probably, I guess, 2 years ish, and just doing it. And then eventually I started screen printing. At this time I had moved back home, and my parents sometimes screen print for me, but they can't do a lot of like the newer stuff that I do with like multiple colors. So I do use a local screen printer here that I work very, very, very closely with. And now they print my stuff, and here we are. I do it full time.
Which is so exciting to be able to like do this full time.
It's insane. And I will tell, so this is a 8 years in April, which I guess will be here quicker than we think.
Yeah.
And I worked at a local racetrack that I had worked at since I was 14. And I worked my way up there, and I was doing like their social media and their marketing and their like online store and their store like at the track and designing their stuff. And at the beginning of the pandemic, literally in March, they let me go. And at the time I was like, okay, how am I going to pay my bills? Like, of course I do have Pixie, but it's still even now like nerve wracking being like, that is my only source of income. And I don't have like a backup plan. So when they let me go, it was like, okay, well, I guess I better like get my butt in gear. And I did it. And now I've been doing it full time, and it's better than it ever was. And it's just absolutely insane. So
that's amazing. And so you mentioned t-shirts. What else do you carry for Pixie Lee Co?
So during the pandemic, I started doing masks. I wasn't going to. And then I owe all of that to Kyle. He was like, I think you should really look into like starting to do masks. And I was like, I don't know. It seems like a risky, like, what if I can't? I don't know. So eventually I found masks that I really, really, really liked and started doing masks. And then...
And before we go any further, I have to say I've bought, a ton of masks in the beginning of the pandemic. I got my first, actually, I think the Key to Your Own Magic, I think that might have been my first Pixie Lee Co mask.
That was one of the first designs.
Was the first design. Yeah, so I think that was the first one I got, and I was like, oh shit, I need all of these. I literally took all the other masks that I had and I put them in a box. I ordered a ton of the Disney ones because I was going, I think my first trip during the pandemic was a solo trip in November. And I bought a bunch of masks. And then when I got home, I was like, those were great in the heat, in like all day wear. Guys, I'm not kidding. I got rid of all my masks. I got the brights, the lights, the everyday, like the neutral ones. I have all of the masks. And I have like the whole set of them hanging on like my shelf right outside my door. But people ask me all the time where I get my masks from. And I'm like, hands down, they are the best masks I have worn in the last 2 years. They have the nose piece. They're adjustable. They're comfortable.
Yeah. My screen printer is actually the one that like found different mask vendors, and he had like a bunch of different masks. And I was like, all right, well, like, let me see what I can do. And I went through all of his masks to see which one I liked the best. And it was very like, he had some, and I was like, these are like regular masks. Anybody can get these anywhere. I don't really care. Like, why, whatever. And so we went back and forth. And then finally, when I found these ones, I was like, okay, these are worth like trying. And then hopefully people like them as much as I do. Great.
And they're cute.
I try to make them cute. Yeah.
So we've got shirts, we've got masks. What else do you carry?
Really, every once in a while I find like different, I like to call them thingamabobs, and I will release them. So I did like Yetis for a little while. Those were kind of like a lot of work, and I don't know if I'll bring them back. But
that seems to be like from Insta. It seems like everybody's always asking about different Yetis for you to bring back.
I just feel bad because they're expensive, and I have to charge a lot, and I don't like charging a lot. But and then they were like, everything in the pandemic is so delayed, and then these kept getting delayed, and I was like, it's kind of a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll come back. You never know. My saying for anytime anybody asks, is this coming back? It's never say never, but yeah. And then of course, Pixie boxes, which I know we're going to talk about later. So those are definitely a big hit. When this releases, I should have already released. I am releasing pajamas.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm so excited about them. They're Christmas pajamas.
And it's like a full set, like matching set of pajamas?
Oh, they're a full set. I got little kits. I got like men's, women's, little baby onesies. Oh, they're so cute.
My cousin Jen Belanger, I know you're going to listen to this episode. Let's hit up some Christmas pajamas.
They're so cute, and they're so like soft and stretchy, and they're just, I can't wait. Instagram, we're recording this on the day that Instagram and Facebook have just like decided
shit the bed.
just not work today all day, and I'm supposed to post the reveal of them tonight, and I was
no.
Okay, cool. Like, I'm
not just
so
a big deal
excited about these. I've literally been working on them for so long, like getting samples and making sure they're exactly what I want. And now, like tonight, I get to release them, and I'm like, oh, okay, Instagram, like just
thanks for nothing, Zuck.
Yeah. So that is coming out, which I'm super excited about.
Oh, that's awesome. So, what is the process creation like? So, from let's say an idea that you have, you work with a screen printer, but how does it go from your brain to the package on my front door?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes it's super easy. Sometimes it's not. So I love to use this example of like how I come up with my ideas. I love the People Mover, and I was on the People Mover once with Courtney, who I mentioned before, and my friend Brandy, and I had taken a picture of them on the People Mover, and I posted on my Instagram story, and I went to go caption my Instagram story, moving with my people. And I was instantly like, wait a sec, I'm not putting that up. That is a shirt. And I went and I take out my notes section, and I wrote down like moving with my people. And that is how usually my shirt ideas come about, is an experience that I did or something that I heard, like happily ever after, or pretty much something like that. And I have like a note section in my phone that will say either, most of my shirts do have like wording on them. So it has to somehow, have like a word, like words. So if I think of words, I put that in my phone, and then I like have to think of the idea upon it. So People Mover was like kind of easy because I knew I wanted like a very Tomorrowland vibe, look like People Mover, but a lot of my shirts is more like you look at it, and if you're a Disney fan, you know, and if you're not a Disney fan, you probably don't know. And like that's kind of the vibe I like to stick with. I'm very like nonchalant Disney.
Yep.
So then it goes to the designing process, and a lot of it starts in like a sticky note of like me scribbling like, this is what I want, yada, yada, yada. And I do work with a designer, her and I go back and forth. And I didn't always work with a designer, but it's actually the best thing I did, because turns out I'm kind of a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. So for me to do it all on my own would probably take months, where like her and I can go back and forth, because something that like dings in her head maybe didn't ding in mine, or something like we just like mesh well together and somehow can come up with, her vision matches my vision quicker than if I did it on my own, if that makes sense. So we're just able to make it happen quicker. So I do work with her. And then once I get to the design, it always starts in black and white. And then me and my screen printer go back and forth coloring it, which you don't realize is one of the hardest parts. So
yeah,
because I have a very like, even lately, I'm very into like sage greens and like blush pinks. And my screen printer has to be like, we just did this color combo.
This one right here that I'm currently wearing.
Exactly. Like I'm just so into those colors, and I try to design things that like I'm gonna wear, but I'm like, maybe everybody doesn't only want to wear blush pink and sage green. So him and I have to go back and forth, and he's not like a Disney guy, so sometimes he doesn't totally get where I'm coming from. So I have to send like inspo,
like a vision board.
Yes, but like all via email. I'm like, this is the vibe I'm going for. I want this. Like I send him a different color palette. This is the color palette I want. I want this, and this color. And like him and I, again, kind of like with my designer, we blend well for the most part together, where I'll be like, well, don't you think those dots should be that pink, and like this should be this? And he's like, if you say so. And then I'm working on a new design right now, and I sent the design over to him. This one I actually did completely on my own. It was literally the other day on the couch. I texted Kyle, like, I just came up with a design, and I just designed it right away. Like I knew exactly what it was supposed to look like, and I'm doing it. And he was like, okay. and I
the
just did the whole
excitement.
thing. I just had it. Sometimes that does happen where I don't have to use my other designer. It's just like me. It's like, oh, this is working. So I sent that to him, and he was like, well, maybe we do like this lighter in the back and then like this more bold on top. And I was like, oh, okay, I like that. So it's definitely not all me. I owe it to a lot of other creative minds where we can I have a good little group of people that we work well together. So while the ideas are always started in my brain and then went to my iPhone and then onto a sticky note, it does take a couple of other brains to like fully make them come alive, especially Keith will talk about the Happily Ever After tea, the castle one. I owe that color thing on the back to my screen printer. That is what like the vision was in my head, but the way he like made it really pop on that shirt of I didn't think like screen printing could be like that, and he absolutely crushed that one. So
we'll have to share some pictures. I can share pictures of my hoodie and my t-shirt. I also have the Boo to You version of it. But we can share some pictures so you can see like the color palette of it, like the ombre look to it. It's incredible.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot more than just like behind. I shared this story on Instagram too the other day of my Christmas shirt that I just released. I knew exactly in my mind the colors that I wanted. And right now with the pandemic, you cannot find shirt stock anywhere. So I kept going back and forth of like, I want this shirt color and I couldn't find it. And I checked every day and I can kind of see when they're going to be in stock, and it just like wasn't happening. So then I switched to a different color palette, and I had that one, like I was really set on that. And then I couldn't find that shirt color either. So then we ended up on this. So there's some things that are behind the scenes that, as silly as it sounds, of like the shirt colors,
the stress of that.
Yeah. But like a lot of thought goes into what color these shirts are.
And that's, I think, what makes a lot of the small shops so special, is that you all put such care into what you do and how you do it and how you want it to look, because it's just you. I feel like you post that not a lot, but like often on Instagram, like, this is just me. Like, this is me and my boxes in my garage going into the trunk of my car. Like, this is one person's vision.
As real as possible for a couple of reasons. One, I am one person. Like, you're not emailing Target, so please bear with me.
And like, be nice.
Also, yeah, be nice, please. But I think I like to share that because it's real life and anybody can do it if you put your mind to it. I don't want to ever come off like better than anybody by sharing that. I'm more sharing it because like, you can do this if this is what you want to do. Like, you can make it work. Whatever it is you want to do, just do it.
Do it. I love that. So what's the buying process like for folks that haven't shopped with you before? Is it drops? Is it pre-orders? Are you always open? Are you on Etsy, your own website? Tell them how they can shop from you.
All right. So I am on my own website, pixieleeandco.com. I do restocks every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Sometimes they are a pre-order, and then sometimes they are ready to ship. I try my best to advertise whichever ones they are. So if it's a pre-order, it always says when the ship date's going to be, and for the most part, it won't sell out. And then if it is ready to ship, it may sell out. The site is always open technically, but the stock might be hit or miss because, again, if I release shirts on Wednesday, then they may sell out or they may not. So yeah, it kind of depends on what's on hand.
And things do go quickly, like the infamous Pixie boxes. I actually just ordered my first Pixie box. I'm not really sure how that's possible. It's my first one, but I got my first one. I am so excited for it. So how did these like come to be, and tell us all about the Pixie boxes?
Yeah. So Pixie boxes. So one, I am a sucker for getting things in the mail. This is kind of how it started. If UPS or USPS or FedEx isn't dropping something off at my house, it is a bad day. Like, I just like gift to myself every day. And so I started getting like kind of like a subscription box, like FabFitFun. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was just like such a fun idea because it's like, I mean, yeah, I did buy it, but I don't know what's inside. So it's like I bought myself a present. So I was like, I want to do something like that for Pixie. And I started doing them, and I did it every month, which was insane, but I only did 25.
Oh my God. Once a month. That is wild.
And I only sold 25 because I was like, this is going to be hit or miss. And I will not to like toot my own horn, but I was the first Disney shop to do these. So at the time I was like, are people really going to want this? I don't know. So I'd only do 25. And then I remember the first one I didn't do 25, and it was a mini box because I knew I couldn't do like as big of a box, and it was going to be for my birthday. And I like did a surprise drop on my birthday, and I sold so many of them. I was like, what is happening right now?
Like SOS.
Did I just like create a business? Like what is like, I feel like I do remember that moment of feeling like, whoa, we're in it. We're doing it. So then I was like, okay, we can like do these like bigger, but also I struggle with Pixie boxes because I said this before. I don't like charging a lot of money, but also want to provide really awesome things in the box. And like now, I guess I didn't even say what a Pixie box is. Sorry. A Pixie box is a brand new tea, which I released the tea and then it has coordinating goodies with it. Mm-hmm. Some are from other small shops and some are other things that I just dreamt up and made happen. So that's what a Pixie box is. The price varies depending on the box. I price it out to the box. It's not like a set price for every single box because some boxes are bigger than others. So
does that mean then you plan everything? Well, what's going to go in the box before you even like post it? Because you'd have to know how to price it, I would guess, right?
Yeah. So they take a lot of planning because I want to make sure like I don't want to like send people crap.
Yeah.
Well, like sometimes you get like even my FabFitFun boxes. You know how many like face lotions I have? Like I don't need another face lotion. So like I don't want to be sending people the same thing every single time.
Yeah.
So it's getting harder. I'll tell you that. But so I'll go through the planning process of the last box I did, which was the 50th anniversary box. Mm-hmm. I had the tea already planned and my whole theme with it, again, it was the 50th anniversary. So I wanted it to be gold, like golden. It's the golden year. So I wanted it to be gold. So first thought, I work a lot with Walter and Rosie Candle Co. I used to know the owner of it. So I worked with her a lot. And so I was like, it'd be cool to do like a candle in like a gold tin, like, so right when you open this box, it's like a gold, like it's just gold. So I did that. And then I really wanted a necklace and I love like dainty little necklaces. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to design a necklace, did it all on my own with a designer of my balloons that are on the front of my 50th anniversary castle tee. I just think they're so cute and pretty and they have like a little bow on the bottom of them. And I really, really love them. So I thought it'd be so pretty to have those in like a gold necklace, but like a really small, like 2 little balloon necklace. Mm-hmm. And so I worked with a designer on those and got those made, again, gold. I had some earrings from Mouse to Your House made of the balloons. I had a keychain made of the 50th castle. And of course it was gold, a sticker.
Gold everything.
Gold. And and then I went and got like the gold tissue paper. I just like wanted it gold. So that, and then I did do a cup in that one that had like the 50th castle on it. It wasn't gold, but it had the 50th castle and they were just like too good to not put that in. So those are Pixie boxes.
And that's a lot. Like if you think about, like you said, mystery boxes of any kind, that's a lot of stuff to get in one box.
I like to think so. I really try. They're always priced, like if you were to buy each individual item individually, you're getting a real big bang for your buck is always my goal. So I know that like the Christmas box was pretty pricey. It was about $80, but there's about like $150 of goods in there. So yeah, I do my best to make sure that you're not going to be disappointed when you open them. That is never my intention. I
cannot wait for this Pixie box. Chocolate chip cookies are hands down one of my favorite things ever. Minnie is my girl. She is everywhere.
I know she's so cute.
She's everywhere. So when I saw that t-shirt, I was like, that's it. I need that shirt like yesterday. So, and Christmas is my favorite season. So
Christmas is my absolute favorite. It's always my favorite Pixie box. And this one isn't this idea. I was actually stressed probably like 2 months ago. I was like, Kyle, I have not thought of my Christmas shirt yet. And he's like, it's August. And I was like, it doesn't matter. You don't understand. Christmas starts in November for Disney. I need to be pumping this stuff out now. And he was like, okay, well, I don't know. And I was like, well, okay. So
you want everyone wearing them in the parks.
Yeah. That is a small shop running on Disney time is a struggle. It is a struggle. So like I'm already in Christmas and we're in October? Yeah. But I was doing Christmas in September.
And Halloween's been up since August. So
I think I dropped Halloween in like July. But so Christmas, that shirt, I was like, one day I just like had it. It just like popped up in my mind. And like Kyle came in my office and he was like, what's going on with you? And I was like, I thought of it. I know what I'm going to do. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, my Christmas shirt. It's going to be like Santa's favorite cookies, like Minnie's like sweetest sweets or something. And he was like, okay. And I was like, you know how good that box can be? Like, I can do this and this and this and this. And he was like, you do it, girl. You do it. Like,
I love that he's so supportive.
he's so supportive. But like, so when I get like, when it like the light bulb goes off, he's just like, okay. Like, he always says like, your mind just works differently than like others. And I'm like, I know, just like go with it. Just like go.
It's going to make sense when it all comes together. Don't worry.
Yeah. So he's always like nods and agrees, but he's like, whatever you say.
Now, would you say that Pixie boxes are the most popular item that you have in your store?
I think they're the most anticipated item.
Yeah.
I sell more than I would ever dream of. I don't know if I would say they're the most popular though.
What would you say is the most popular?
My best selling tea I've ever done is definitely the Happily Ever After tea.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, that's probably the best one. The second best was probably last year's Christmas tea. The Walt's Family Farm, the red truck. That was like
perfection.
I don't even understand how that one sold so much. So those are probably the best sellers.
Now, something else that you mentioned that I didn't actually put on our agenda, but it's come up and I think is a great thing to talk about. You collaborate a lot with a lot of other shops.
Yeah.
So how does that process work? Like, is it like people that you know, or like just shops that you follow that you shop from, and you're like, hey, let's do a mask together, or the candle that you and is it Walt and Rosie?
Rosie, yeah.
Like, how does that whole process work?
Walter and Rosie, so Ashton is my friend, and I actually met her. We met on Facebook. This is literally wild. And we met in a Facebook group for Walter and Rosie. Ashton actually bought the company and then took it over. And her and I met before she even did that. And we became like really close over the internet. And then I was living in Alabama at the time, and she drove 3 hours to see me. And then we got in the car and drove 6 hours to Disney the first time we ever met.
That's incredible.
Absolutely insane. And then when I was down there, we met somebody else in the Facebook group who is now Courtney, who is one of my best friends, who also has Disney business. So a lot of my collabs come from making friendships over Instagram. Social media is a wonderful place. Even if it can be negative, it has a lot of positives.
Yeah.
And so I make my relationships off of Instagram with other shops. And a lot of them I've met, at the parks because we've talked so much. So I reach out. If they want to say no, they can say no. And if they say yes, great. But you can't make something happen if you don't try, right? So
absolutely.
A lot of them I do have, so Ashton now doesn't own Walter and Rosie, but we did a lot of collabs together before. And then, she got me in touch with the current owner. I do a lot of work with Brandy from Ears Full of Sugar. Mm-hmm. Her and I are friends in real life too. So that's pretty easy to bounce our ideas off of each other. Her and I will work well together if even hey, you should do this for ears, or she can come up with a shirt idea and that kind of stuff. Mouse to Your House is Courtney. Her and I work a lot together. But all the other, I've been working recently with Pixie cases. She makes really cute phone cases, and her and I have been doing more than a couple now of mask collabs together. And I got in touch with her because she actually also works with that photographer that I mentioned before that I work with in Disney. So I asked her, I was like, do you think she would ever want to do a collab with me? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Reach out. So it's all about making relationships and connecting with other people, which.
Yeah. And it's great to see so many, I feel like there's so many of the little small shops that I love that come together and you're like, oh yes, I love that. They're all friends and everybody's doing these things together, because then you can also say oh, to your point, I have, ears from Ears Full of Sugar. I have the matching mask from you. So you have all the things that you love and you get to support multiple people.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's just it's never a competition with any of these people. It's always we're working together, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And we can all understand where we're coming from. If I'm having a bad day, because this person emailed me for the 15th time, I can text one of my friends and be like, I'm going to lose my mind today.
Yeah. You have people that get it, and it's a community, and you all support each other. So that's amazing. Now,
the Disney is unreal. Just throwing that out there from fellow shop friends, but look at us doing this. The Disney community is it's something. people don't understand it if you're not in it.
It really is. It sounds so silly to say, but like it really is magical. Like I've met a ton of people that like I either shop from them or I've like been in, seen them in the parks and like just follow them on Instagram. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, hi, how are you? Like they either like know who you are or you've talked to them before. Like, and I was talking to Samantha and Haley from Two Park Princesses. And it's like, you're just talking to normal, everyday people, right? Like and that's what I love about like, even just how much you share on your Instagram, on your 2 accounts of like, I feel like I know you. I'm like, oh yeah, like it's just Shelby from Pixie Lee Co. Like, yeah, because you put so much out there and you're so genuine and authentic. And those are the shops that I like to shop from. And people ask all the time, like, oh, where do you get your ears? Where do you get your shirts? Like, and I'll direct them to like people like you or Brandy at Ears Full of Sugar or Samantha and Haley at Two Park Princesses. Like the people that I feel genuinely love what they do and want to make that magic for other people. And be like, hey, they're just everyday normal humans doing fun shit.
And that's what I do. Like of course I don't share, like I have Be Shelby Lee, so that's where I share like all my personal stuff, but I enjoy sharing that because I do want people like, I am just a normal girl doing like normal things. And also though, like I said before, like I'm just doing it and I'm like hustling my butt off and making it happen. And like, you can do it too. So like, whatever it is that, you want to do, like I am just I'm not doing anything fancy. I don't live in some like extravagant place. Like we're normal people.
And you're killing it. Most importantly. So what are you most excited about bringing to your shop? And let's say the next like few months, the next year.
All right. I think like a lot is about to come.
Yeah. We won't give any spoilers.
No spoilers, but I'm going to share this because I am trying so hard to manifest this.
Yes.
So we've actually been looking at like a warehouse type like office space.
Amazing.
And that is a couple of the dings went off. The person we put in like an offer for a spot and the email dinged and something, but didn't say like congratulations, it's yours. We're not trying to buy, we're trying to lease it. But so that is the next step, which I think
that's huge. That's a huge step.
Huge. It's so nerve-wracking, but I think it's going to be absolutely incredible for Pixie, for me, like mentally. Owning a small business and like working from your home is so draining. I don't talk about that so much on Instagram because I don't ever want to sound ungrateful for what I have, but finding the separation between Pixie and real life is an absolute struggle because I have my email on my phone, I have social media on my phone, and I'm always working. And then I'm sitting in my office upstairs, but I'm very, very, very lucky where I've almost grown out of my office where I'm now mostly working in the garage. And I don't like when I'm in the garage, I'm like, there's a spider web over there. It's gross. Like I get like, so I don't know. So this is the next step. And I think it's going to be huge. I think I'm going to be able to bloom creatively even more because I'm going to be getting out of the house. And then I hope from there, I will be able to do more things because I think then maybe I'll be able to hire somebody perhaps, and not to take over what I'm doing, but just to help me and be able to, I can do more of the fun stuff of creating and producing more stuff. And so I think a lot of big things are coming Pixie's way. It's very, very overwhelming, and hopefully I'm making the right decision.
Yeah. And if you've seen
more than a year, so
if you've seen Shelby's stories, you know that her trunk is always full of boxes. So I can only imagine how much easier shipping will be and packaging and all that kind of stuff, just getting some help.
All of it's all over the house all the time. And again, I'm so beyond grateful. And Kyle that never complains about like Pixie just like living everywhere. We've probably been looking for a place now for almost a month, but I was on my way home from picking up shirts and I came upstairs and Kyle works from home a couple days a week, but he was home at the time. And I said, it's time. And he was like, for what? I was like, Pixie is moving. He was like, uh-huh. I was like, yep. I was driving down the street and there was all these warehouses. There's got to be somewhere that I can go. And he was like, okay.
So what's the plan?
More money, right? And I was like, I know it is, but like, I will pay to leave the house. And he was like, okay, let's do it. Let's look for something. So,
and I think a lot of people that have been working from home during the pandemic can 100% understand that. Like, So I'm currently in my dining room and I worked from this spot for a year and a half, and I have a little like craft room office that has been set up forever.
Yeah.
And a couple months ago, I was like, I need to set up better boundaries for myself, because I walk out of my bedroom and the first thing I see is my monitor, my computer, and I'm like, it's 7:30. My first meeting's not till like 9:30. I can either like sit and watch Dancing with the Stars because I DVR'd from the night before, or like, something that's going to just like completely not use any brain cells. Or I could start working a little bit early and get some more stuff done and feel less stressed. And I'm never less stressed. I'm just working longer. So like I had to set that mental boundary of like, I need to walk away, close the door, and not think about work for a little while, and say, you know what? It's okay to like sit on your couch and not do anything and watch a game or watch a show, or like literally just do nothing. Take a nap.
I know. So see, and I 1000% agree, but I sometimes have days where I have so much to do, but I am so overwhelmed. I just choose not to do anything.
Yeah.
And I'll
be like paralyzed by choice.
I do. And I think if once Pixie moves out, that separation, and also me having to go to the office, I'm trapped there and I have to get what I have to get done. Yeah. So I think it's just going to be big things are happening, and it's going to be for the better. And I think I just am very, very, very excited.
That's super exciting. And we actually have somebody coming on in a couple weeks who talks all about manifesting, and we're going to do a whole manifesting magic episode. So we'll just send all the manifesting good vibes to you.
That is why I am sharing that. So hopefully I didn't just give myself, I should knock on wood or something.
Everybody give Shelby the good vibes. You're going to get the warehouse. It's going to be perfect. And it's going to be amazing things for Pixie Lee.
Found one. And we're really, 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 really hopeful. Really, really, really hopeful. So yeah, we'll see.
I love it. So any last minute, like bits of info, bits of magic from Pixie Lee Co that you want to share?
I've kind of touched on this before of like, if you want to do it, you can do it. But probably one of the questions I get all the time is like, I want to start a business doing like what you do. How do you do it?
Yeah.
And first of all, just do it. Second, my number one advice always is you have to use your own creativity. You can't steal off of others. So going on Etsy and taking somebody's idea is never going to work for you. Your idea is going to sell better than anybody else's. And also, it's 1000% you're going to learn on your own. Like the amount of mistakes that I have learned and had to like figure out, or we could do 10 other podcast episodes on it, probably more, but you just have to figure it out. Like I didn't finish college, so I don't have a degree in business. Like I truly do not know what I'm doing. I did in high school. I learned Photoshop and Illustrator, and that's how I learned how to like design and that kind of stuff. So I do have some background on that, but that's if you want to, whatever you want you want to do, whether it is start a business, whether it is start a podcast, let's say, whether it's whatever it is that you have like set in your mind to do, just the only way you can start is by doing it. So
that's such great advice. Do it and be willing to learn, like as you go.
Can't give up. Like, again, I've been doing this for almost 8 years, and it's only been my full-time job for not even 2 yet. So I was doing more than one job for a long, long time with this. So it definitely doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. And are there any other questions that you feel like you get asked all the time?
Besides, like, when is this restocking? Or like the post office lost this.
Poor USPS.
Tis the season. No, that's like mainly the most asked question. And sorry if you've asked me and I never answered you, because sometimes I just can't, because like I don't know.
Because she's one person working out of her garage.
I know, and like sometimes like questions like that do have to go.
But I feel like you usually do, I think, a really great job of like putting up a Q&A box and like answering a ton of questions on your stories. Like you're a very engaged and very engaging person on Instagram, at least is where I follow you the most. Even if like I'm not sending something, like I feel like you do such a great job at sharing what people ask and how you respond, or like just telling a story on your story. I think you do such a great job with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try. Always reminder, I don't share everything.
Yeah.
So my Instagram is, what do they say? there's more going on behind the scenes. You
Yeah.
know? I do try to share like all the good things. I do sometimes share the bad. I like to keep it real. I try to be, as real as can be, but like, I don't share like, well, Shelby laid on the couch all day today and did have something.
But speaking of the couch,
I have those days and just know that I have those days. But yeah, speaking of the couch, I share that.
Yeah, speaking of the couch, you have shared some dramas with your couch. Like you do share the real shit too.
Well, because everybody goes through it, right?
Exactly. And then to your point, you feel like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not crazy or I'm not losing my shit alone.
Yeah.
Plenty of people are feeling this too.
But I love engaging with the Disney community and like my followers. They're so fun. I don't like to say that they're followers. They're like my friends. Like today, Instagram has been down and I'm freaking bored.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do all day? Hopefully in the mix of all of this recording, hopefully everything has been fixed. For everybody listening, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp have been down literally all day long, and everyone's going to come back. I actually posted on Twitter, and I was like, today seems like a good day, Twitter, to let you know, launched a podcast. Come check it out, I guess, because there's nothing else to do on any other social channels, so come hang out.
I will say the TikTok content has been great today.
Okay.
It's like the best it's been.
So far off topic, but I was sharing with somebody yesterday. Have you seen the Josh D'Amaro TikTok hole that's happening?
No.
Okay. I'm going to DM you some TikToks. It's like all about everyone who loves Josh D'Amaro, the president of Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And it's just like all these like love stories, lots of wildest dreams, Taylor Swift TikToks with him in it of just like people loving him. I was in a deep TikTok hole the other day and I was like, I love this corner of the internet.
Okay, let's do it. Well, Dancing with the Stars is on tonight, so.
And we got to pray for Cody.
I'm so nervous for him.
Same. And for those of you not Peloton or Dancing with the Stars people, Cody is hands down my favorite instructor by far.
He's my favorite human ever.
Yeah, I need someone to like tell me I'm a bad bitch and I'm fierce and I'm going to kill this day. Like that's what I need in life to get my ass on the bike.
Yes.
And he's on his second bout with COVID. And this is Britney week. This is his week to shine.
He was born for this.
Yeah, and it's a jazz routine. So we're hoping that he's going to make it far and then.
So weird.
Yeah. It's going to be very weird.
Like him and Cheryl are dancing from different homes.
Yeah.
But also, they currently have COVID. Like, isn't it going to be kind of a struggle?
I think between that and also if they're both positive, like, can't they just still dance together? They're not going to get each other sick?
I also thought that.
But my theory and what I'm really hoping for is that they'll make it really far. And then they'll get to the end of the season where they get to like redo a dance. And this will be the dance that they redo. And then they're going to crush it.
I love that idea.
That's my theory.
Okay. I love that idea. I'm going with it. He's getting all my votes. I'm voting from the app, from like the website, my phone. I made Kyle vote.
Yes.
He gave some votes to like that basketball player the other week. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, we're here for Cody.
10 to Cody only.
Only.
So for everyone that wants to continue in on all of these things that we've been talking about, Disney, Peloton, Taylor Swift, Boston sports, country music, Shelby also does a great job with like fun themed things, I feel like, especially during COVID, you did like fun country concert things at your house with your friends. Like you got some great content across the board. So where can people listening, if they don't follow you already, where can they find you on the internet?
On Instagram, my personal account is Shelby Lee. And then, of course, Pixie Lee Co. is just Pixie Lee Co. Come hang.
Yeah, so we'll make sure to put those on the show notes. And to wrap up the episode, we'll do two things that are, I think, my favorite. We'll do a speed round of favorites of things that you love, and then we'll do your favorite magic moments.
Okay.
You ready?
They're supposed to be fast. I talk a lot, but let's do this.
You can take as long as you need.
Okay.
All right, so what's your favorite Disney resort?
Okay, I get this question all the time, and I finally come up with my answer after my last trip. It is not one resort. It depends on why you're going to Disney.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you are going to watch Happily Ever After, I'm so sorry, Happily Ever After every single night, then stay on the monorail route.
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to hang out by the pool most of the day, beach club, yacht club, because I stayed there for the first time this last trip, and that sand pool, are you kidding me?
Never been.
20 out of 10 recommend.
Oh.
But like if your plan is to like go to Hollywood Studios or like Epcot for like a festival most of the time, then stay on the Skyliner route, like Riviera or what, Caribbean Beach. Like that is my
boardwalk. Walking home after Epcot.
boardwalk is definitely ideal if you're staying at Epcot. So I think it depends on your trip. Like I cannot pick a favorite resort. So,
but I love that answer because I feel the same way. Like so much of what we've even talked about, like early episodes of the podcast, is like you need to prioritize what you want to do and then build your plan around that, because that's going to be the only way that you're successful, I think. So
agreed.
I love that answer. All right. Favorite restaurant on property?
I don't think I have one. I'm going to be honest. It's always like I change my mind every single time. I ate at a restaurant this last trip and it was incredible. And I forget what it's called, but it's over at Grand Floridian, and it's like in its own little, begins with an N. I don't think I can pronounce it as well. Yes.
It's like an Italian restaurant, right?
Yes.
I have not eaten there, but I've heard it's fantastic.
The view, like I didn't think I even knew this place existed. That is like a hidden kind of expensive gem. Like
add it to your list. Narcoossee's.
Yes.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Also highly underrated. Tavo, I don't even know. Boardwalk. It's like the Italian restaurant. I want to call it like Tavolino's, but it's not.
I have not been there either, so I'm not sure what that one is.
We used to have the breakfast with like Rapunzel and Ariel, but then like they have pastas and
I want to say it's Trattoria Il Forno, but I also could be thinking of somewhere in the North End.
No. I think Tavolino's is at Gillette Stadium.
Oh.
But what you just said is correct. That place is highly underrated. So that is
like a mix of like that and like Topolino's.
Yeah.
Also delicious. All right. Favorite park?
Magic Kingdom. Easy.
Same. Favorite ride at each park?
Magic Kingdom is the Hubble Mover. Hollywood Studios' new favorite ride is Mickey's Runaway Railway. Mm-hmm. I'm obsessed.
I haven't seen the pre-show yet, so I'm excited. Next trip.
It changes the whole thing. It changes the entire thing.
I can't.
I don't want to say anything on here, but like, because there was okay, ignored.
Watch the pre-show.
Yeah, because it just like I don't know how to say it without saying it. Just okay,
makes it all make sense. I feel like because I've been on it and I was like, I feel like I'm not sure what's happening.
It makes the whole ride make sense, but it makes the queue make sense because Disney is very like in an experience the whole time, starting at the queue, and I could not understand why we were still in the Chinese theater in the queue and it's like not themed.
Oh, so does the pre-show answer that?
Yes. That is all I'm saying. Because I was actually like disappointed in Disney for a second. And then it made sense. Okay, favorite ride. So Mickey's Runaway Railway. Close was Toy Story Mania. That used to be my favorite. Animal Kingdom. It's probably the Safari. Mm-hmm. And but I'm like a sucker for the Lion King show. I know it's not like a ride, but like some people skip on that. Don't skip on that. And Epcot, I guess we have to go like Soarin'.
Yeah.
I feel like Epcot rides are kind of.
I say all the time, like my favorite attraction at Epcot is to just drink around the world. So
yeah, so like Epcot like rides are kind of meh.
Yeah.
Living with the Land is definitely underrated.
Hot take. I love it. What's your favorite Disney snack?
Also depends on my mood. Like I won't turn down a Dole Whip. I'm also not going to turn down a cream cheese pretzel.
Yes.
Those, I just want it all. Like a spring roll in Magic Kingdom. Sign me up. Corn dog.
That's actually something that they should probably do, like a dessert party, but like all the good snacks at the park. Like I would pay for that.
Is what I need.
Give me the fireworks and like all the good snacks.
Oh.
Let's make that happen. Let's manifest that as like a new offering.
Why is that not a thing? I would pay extra for that.
Yes. All right. Favorite merch or collectible item that either you have or that you collect?
Ooh, good question. Merch. I do the pins. And I love collecting like the Chippendale pins. We didn't even talk Chippendale this whole time. I love Chippendale. I love like Chippendale pins. That's definitely my thing. And I just started like pin trading, I guess probably like 3 years ago now. And I always like look for different like the Chippendale pins. So yes. I'm going to say that.
Yeah. I love that. How about your favorite non-park activity?
Ooh, that's a good question. Shopping at Gibson's.
Yes, if you haven't been to Gideon's, definitely hit up Gideon's.
That might be one. I feel like I don't like we spend a lot of time like just like because I am like the queen of midday breaks. Like I do not need to do 15 hours at the park. Like that is when you see the miserable people. So I love just like chill and like hang out at the resorts and like check out like the different resorts, especially around Christmas time. Like all of the resorts have their different like Christmas decor. So I guess that could be like my favorite non-park activity, especially around the holidays. Go make the effort to resort hop and
+1. Hopefully see and smell the gingerbread house at the Grand Floridian.
I am yes.
All right, favorite Disney movie.
Can we do like okay? So my favorite like princess movie is Frozen, which is like we'll say like original one. It was Little Mermaid. Pixar. I love Cars. Very like off-brand for me, but I love Cars.
All of them are so good. All the Cars movies.
So good. Well, number 2 is actually terrible, but it's so bad. But 1 and 3 are amazing.
Which one? I feel like my cousins, Brian and Tassie, who probably listen to this, will be upset that I'm going to ask this question. But which one is the one where Mater is like the special agent? Is that 2 or 3?
2. It's horrible.
I love that one. I thought it was
so. I can't believe they made a third after releasing that crap.
I just think Mater is like the funniest.
I mean, he is. I agree, but like, come on, space agent or whatever.
So good. So last favorite, and I think this ties into what you were saying before, because I do want to expand a little bit because I have a feeling I'm going to know the answer to this. But your favorite Disney character?
Probably Chippendale.
And for those that have not followed Shelby yet, because I know you will after this, tell everybody why you love Chippendale so much and kind of like what wraps around. Because I feel like Chippendale, literally now when I see Chippendale, like I think of you and your friend Courtney. Like, how did all of this come to be? And tell us all of the Chippendale scoop.
All right. So Chippendale, it was now 6 years ago. I'm losing track of time. I was going to Disney and I was going with Courtney and we had booked tickets to the Halloween party and we last minute needed a costume and we like to be different. We just like to be different. So like we ran the Princess Half Marathon before that. And why would we dress up as princesses? Like everybody else was going to do that. So we dressed up as McQueen and Mater during the Disney princess run. Like we just like to be. So we were going to the Halloween party. We like last minute decided like, let's be Chippendale. Like nobody's going to be Chippendale. Like nobody likes them. It's rude. I feel like they like them now that we started this, but
I feel like they're like a big deal now. Like they're everywhere.
Like, I don't want to like say that it's because of me, but I feel like it's kind of because I'm just kidding. So we told my mom, was like, can you make us these like Chippendale costumes? And she was like, okay. So she made us Chippendale costumes. We go to Disney for the Halloween party. We have the freaking time of our lives. Like we ran to Hollywood Studios so we could meet Chippendale first. And then we went to the Halloween party, had the best time. And then that day we were like, let's just dress up as different Chippendales from here on out every Halloween. And somehow we have now done that. So we just add like a piece of a costume on top of our original Chippendale costumes.
Oh, that's so smart.
So we have like our original plain Chippendale costumes. And then we were Chippendale from the Halloween party. So they're like cowboys. And then we were Dino Chippendale from Animal Kingdom. Then we were, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. We were Festival of Fantasy.
Oh, with the capes.
Parade, Chippendale. And then last year, because they didn't have the Halloween party and the parks were maybe closed or I wasn't visiting yet, we got like these like onesies and we were socially distanced Chippendale. That was just like for us to be funny. And then this year we just did it. We were 50th anniversary Chippendale.
And I think you said your mom made those ones too, right? Like they were on point.
Every single costume. She is so ridiculous. She goes so over the top. Like she doesn't just like this 50th anniversary one. It was a vest. She didn't just buy a vest and like cover it. She got a pattern for a vest and straight up made the entire thing. She goes over the top. She dropped them off to our house, like, and she's always last minute. So I was leaving for my trip on Saturday night. She dropped it off to our house and I like showed Kyle. I was like, imagine what our kids' costumes are going to look like if mine at almost 30. And he's like, great.
Can't wait. I love it. So definitely follow along the Chip and Dale adventures. They are so fun. I think you do such a great job with them. And that's another piece that is so fun, whether it's like a Run Disney race or a party or something, like any kind of bound or dress up. Like if that's something that you love to do it. That is your place to do it.
Do it.
Maybe another friend do like a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers version where we have like a whole group costume, you know, show up, find Shelby and Courtney, and you will have a whole crew.
Please.
I love it. So last two questions, kind of the same question in two different versions, but one, what is your favorite magic moment as a Disney World guest? And then what's your favorite magic moment as a shop owner? So that could be either at the parks or just like a story that you've chatted with from someone who's bought with you.
Awesome. I love that. Okay. Magic. I'm going to say my magic moments are probably going to have to do with like Chip and Dale. Yeah, we've had a lot of magic moments in those costumes, from just like we were sitting watching the parade for Halloween and like the Halloween like Boutique parade, and especially when we dressed up as them in the Halloween parade.
Yep.
They like came over and like grabbed us, and like I don't forget if it was Chip or Dale like saw us and then ran over and like grabbed the other monk and like came over. Like we have it all on video, and so that was probably a magical moment. But also like we went to the campfire once at Fort Wilderness.
Yep.
They have like a campfire where they like sing songs and Chip and Dale comes out and like dances.
Cute.
And we were like fangirling over Chip and Dale.
And Chip and Dale are fun characters. If you haven't met them before,
they're the best.
They're so fun.
I can't wait till like meet and greets are back because they're so fun. And but they like let us go like not into like the back, but like towards the back where there was nobody like before they went like backstage, and like let us take pictures with them. So we've had a lot of really great magical moments with Chip and Dale. So,
and hopefully lots more to come.
Yes. Okay. As a shop owner, I feel like there are so many. One, like I get like DMs lately. They've been happening a lot of like people just saying like, oh, I saw your shirts like at the parks, and it's just like so fun that we like I connected with this person. Like I started chatting because like we both own like Pixie Lee Co, and it's just like that is so insane to me that one, people notice that like that's my shirt, and then like people make conversation over it. Like I can't even believe that, because which is like kind of funny, because when I see my shirts, I'm like, oh, that's my shirt, and then like I kind of run and hide because I get so like shy and like I don't want to say anything. So like when people say that is something that I don't know if it's like part of the question, but I always, every single year, I go through and I take my top 10 customers for the year and I send them Christmas gifts. And I've been doing this now for like 4 or 5 years, and I just get like the nicest messages, and these people are like so like committed to buying from me. It's like so unbelievable. But like the stories that I hear because of that are like, or why they shop for me, or I don't know. I have a lot of magic moments from Pixie. It's pretty wild. I like, it doesn't seem like real life. I don't know.
I was just gonna say, but that's so cool. And I think even what you were saying with like people being able to like recognize your shirt, like they recognize your style, they recognize your brand, like, and like we were saying earlier, I think people, and I don't want to speak for all of the people that follow you, but like as someone who does actively follow you, like on Instagram, that sounded really creepy. I do not follow Shelby around. But like you, because you're open and you're honest and you're genuine and authentic, like people feel like they know you, and they feel like they know like your life and your shop, and they feel connected to it in a way that's not Target or even Disney for that matter. Like they connect to you as a person. And I think that's what makes shops like yours so special. And that's why people want to continue to buy from you, because they feel like, okay, I'm buying from Shelby. I'm not buying from, the higher power somewhere. Like I'm buying from a person.
That's like so wild to me, because like when I see a shirt, I'm like, oh my God, I folded that. That was in my house. Like that was me. I did that, because like I'm the only one that does all that kind of work. So
yeah. And do people come up to you in the parks often? Like, is that like weird for you, or like is it like okay for people to come talk to you? Like, how do you feel about that?
No, I love it. Like, please come say hello. I would much rather you come say hello than you message me on Instagram later and be like, oh, I saw you at the parks. Because then I'm like, you were following me.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I would much rather you say hello. And I love to meet everybody. And I always ask like, oh, what's your Instagram handle? Because that's kind of a lot of the times how I recognize somebody. Yeah, no, please say hello. I love it.
Amazing. So if you see Shelby, say hello, but also make sure you follow her on both Be Shelby Lee as well as Pixie Lee Co. Check out her drops, pixie boxes, masks, all of the things, because like I said, everything is so comfortable. My entire outfit right now is Pixie Lee Co. because it is incredibly comfortable. I think I live in these joggers since they have hit my doorstep. So I cannot rave enough about your products, but thank you so much for coming on. This was so, so fun. And thank you for just like sharing the magic that you create. And like I said before, I don't know that I can express how much shops like yours really impact people. So I hope that you know that, especially going into a crazy season like Christmas. It's going to be wild. It's going to be nuts, but you really do make such a positive impact on people. So thank you for all that you do. And hopefully we'll have you on another episode. We can talk about some more fun stuff.
Anytime. Maybe we'll recap Enchantment once you see it too.
Yes. Perfect. All right, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're with Shelby talking all about Pixie Lee Co. and how she creates magic for all of us at her shop. Please make sure you check out her shop. We'll make sure that we drop her Instagram handle and her website at the show notes. And we'll see you next time. Stick around because it's going to be great.